Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I'm going to talk about the two considerations everyone has when hiring a software developer. Okay, so I know I've talked about this before, but I do hire software developers from time to time. It seems like much of the time I have too much work on, I'm run off my feet, there's too much going on, and I'm always on the lookout for good developers and good designers. But the thing is, I get approached by developers, and well, mostly developers, all the time. So it could either be in YouTube comments, or most of the time it's via email, or social media, whatever. And it's usually the same. Like there was a comment a couple weeks ago from somebody saying, and I don't want to call them out because it's perfectly fine, but it just says, hey Eric, I'm working on my own apps, but I'm also looking for freelance work. If you hire me, I'll be cheaper than most, right? And I looked at that and I thought, okay, well, thanks for letting me know, but I didn't really give it much consideration because it wasn't enough information, right? It was just like, I could follow up, but then it requires effort, so I don't. And even this morning I get this email like probably daily from somebody say, hey Eric, we're an IT company in India, we can give you Android developers for $10 an hour for a developer. And I think, okay, well, interesting, but I'm not that interested in it, right? Because in both those situations they weren't really deserving of follow-up because they didn't show that they were capable of actually doing the work. They were like based on price only. And I think you can't just, as a developer, you can't just focus on price alone, right? You have to also talk about capabilities. On the other side, a lot of times I get contacted by developers who are really good and they'll talk about all the things they can do, but they don't talk about the price issue. And these are both the considerations I have. Whenever I'm hiring somebody, it's the same as whenever anybody hires Overpass to do work for them. And it's something I'm always thinking about when I'm talking about the client, right? You always think about, number one, are they capable? And number two, can I afford them? Every client has that in their mind when they talk to me. That's the same thing I have in my mind when I hire developers. It's those two different questions. And usually the developer will address one but not the other. So it's either they talk about their capabilities but they don't talk about the price, or they talk about the price only but not the capabilities. So to give you an example, this company that says they could give me an Android developer for $10 an hour, right? That sounds appealing when you look at other companies where they would charge for an Android developer, but it doesn't talk about whether or not they're capable of doing it, right? Believe it or not, I can find developers for $3 an hour, right? They won't be any good. They won't have any experience, right? Or they might say they could do stuff. They would say, like if I said, can you do an Android app for me? They would say yes, in the same way that if you asked me if I could fix a leaky tap, like I would say, yeah, I could do that, right? And I've done that before. Every time I've tried to do anything involving plumbing, I think this can't be too hard. I'm sure I could do this, right? And I'm much cheaper than hiring a plumber, right? But then later on in the day I'm at the hardware store freaking out looking at two different things, like, why are these in different sizes? I have no idea what I'm doing, and eventually I have to call a plumber anyway, right? It never goes well. And there's been times in the past where I've hired developers and I've been in the same situation, right? They seem like they interview really well, they seem to really know what they're doing, but then they're a deer in the headlights when they run into any kind of problems and I'm the one bailing them out. And I don't want to be in that kind of situation before. So the capabilities is really good, right? Because the price per hour, you could hire somebody who is $10 an hour who can do much more than somebody at $3 an hour. You can hire somebody at $25 an hour who could do a lot less than the person at $10 an hour. It has nothing to do with that. It's the velocity of how well you code, right? Or you could go the other way and say, I'm going to get somebody for $100 an hour or $200 an hour, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be better, but you would hope so. You would hope that they would be gauging their own thing, right? There's no standard, there's no metric for how much people charge, right? And then there's the other side, can they actually do it? There's nothing worse than getting into a project with somebody where you start saying, okay, we're having this bug now, why is this not working? And they say the magic words, I don't know, right? Hey, you know what? You know the code, you should know what it's doing. And a lot of times it's been me going in and doing it. So and the reason I wanted to bring this up is just because I just see it too often with developers who are marketing themselves and they're not addressing both sides of the issue, right? I have never, ever, ever met a client that said, hey, cost is not an issue, right? Our budget is so high. In fact, almost every client I've ever had, the budget comes up in that first meeting. They said, well, we don't have much of a budget, right? And it's always relative, right? Nobody thinks they have much of a budget, but most of the time, sometimes they'll be like, no, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good budget for this project. But, so price always figures into it on every project. I mean, just same, because we're all normal. We're all thinking, how much is this going to cost, and can they do this for me? And those two considerations, if you're pitching yourself as a developer, you have to consider both of them all the time. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. And I can't think of anything else. Those are the two things I always have in my mind. Are they capable? And are they capable based on experience? Like, I don't want to say, yeah, I could do it. Yeah, I could fix a car. I'm sure I could change the oil. There's a manual. I could figure it out. But, it would probably take me a lot longer than somebody who could do it all the time, even though they might be more expensive, but they would do it in a short amount of time, and it's always variable. So anyway, some of my thoughts for today. Let me know what you guys think. Hiring developers, it's actually a very tricky process. And sometimes you get burned by it. Sometimes you find somebody who's really good and you keep going back to, but it's always tough. It's always tough. So anyway, those are my thoughts for today. Let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.